Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Renegades React. Today, it's just me and Nick, and funny enough, we're actually going to be doing the second episode to the series Goblin Slayer. So, first episode, quite a shock, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I mean, we censored out a lot of the stuff that was in it, especially for like the YouTube version. I cut the majority of it because, hey, this is anime and it's from Japan, and you know, if they can claim or strike it, they will. And I'm trying to remain as safe as possible. And I know a lot of you out there saying, well, if you want to remain safe on it, then don't do a reaction to it. It's just like, but we want to. I mean, come on. What's life without risk?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We risk losing our channel and thus everything that we've been building up over the last 5 years. Anywho. Yeah, anywho.
Yeah.
Goblin Slayer, episode 2. We are watching the sub version still, so for those of you out there wanting the dub, I'm sorry, but it's just how it is right now. And I'm interested to see what's going to progress in this episode, because in the first episode we got introduced to actually, that's the interesting thing. We don't actually have any names of the characters.
Did it not say her name?
No. We have the priestess, I believe, is what he called her. We have Goblin Slayer, the priestess, and really that's
it so far.
Yeah. And the one who works at the what's it called? The guild.
Yeah.
The one who works at the guild, which she's more like a background supporting character. I don't know if she's going to be featured more or not, but she seems to be very adamant on helping I guess helping adventurers out when it comes to goblins. I think maybe something happened to her because you probably noticed whenever they started talking, whenever the priestess partied up with those three other adventurers, and they talked about going into a goblin cave and going into a goblin hovel and taking out goblins, all of a sudden, she started to look really worried, like, oh God, something bad's going to happen. And I think maybe something's happened to her with goblins, and maybe that's why she's so adamant on helping people out with goblins.
Could be, or it could be just because she works there.
Maybe.
She knows the numbers in terms of the people that come through and be like, I'm going out for goblins. Cool. May not ever see you again.
Cool.
That type of thing.
By the way, here's an insurance policy. Yeah, write your name here, information here, this here, this here. Okay, and name me as your sole proprietor. Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen to you. I promise. And then they die, collect insurance, haha, profit. God. It'd be such a terrible thing to do. God. So,
if you were living in a high fantasy world, writing life insurance for people would be very profitable.
Oh, it would. It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome.
I mean, to an extent, because a lot of people would die before you got any payments from them to start with, but... the guys that made it 10 weeks at least. I'll probably be weekly payments, not monthly payments. Who knows if you're going to be here next month?
I think it should be per adventure. Per adventure you go on, you collect. There's an insurance policy.
Yeah.
And if you complete it, it goes in there, and it actually could kind of be like a pension. It could almost be like a pension. You survive 100 adventures, you can collect the pension and retire if you want to.
Yeah.
I think that'd be something cool. I mean, damn, you know what? That actually would be something interesting. But, hey, that's banking, and, oh, God. The amount of pensions that have been eroded through because of corporate rate or privateer banking. Oh, well, that's a story for another time. But, anyway, we have the second episode here. Let's get it on screen. Let me... full screen this.
So at the same time, you might lose more money than you make just because of the fact that so many people die and you have to pay the insurance out to their families when they die.
Well, that's why I think it should be. I think the amount that's paid to you should be a percentage of what they make from the adventure.
Yeah.
Say they take a goblin adventure and they a goblin clearing mission for 10 copper coins, and they have to pay, and for the insurance or for the pension policy. / insurance policy, they have to pay you two copper coins.
I could work out.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Sorry, by the way, I'm trying not to get sick right now.
Yeah, like I said, I suggested like orange juice. Like get a.
I actually went and bought some immune system booster pills.
Okay.
They got like vitamin C and zinc and all kinds of shit in them.
Good. That'll help you out. I don't want you getting sick before Wednesday, man, because Wednesday we got some stuff coming up. So let's get it on screen and let's give it a watch, shall we? Here we go. Oh, come on.
Maybe.
There we go.
Yeah.
Show contains scenes some you may find disturbing. Damn. That's a tasteful amount of side boob.
And butt.
Yeah. Wow. This is
definitely one of those animes.
I'm surprised her ass didn't just fall out the window as much weight came flying out.
Yeah. Just the momentum was like, whoa!
She's like, Ohio!
I wonder if goblins are like the only dangerous thing in this world.
I don't know. Well, they're the only dangerous thing we've really seen. He's eating through his mask. It's like Deadpool.
It's Goblin Slayer, but I wonder if they also have like the occasional dragon or anything.
Dragons.
Experience points.
Well, they're not a high enough rank. Once you rank up in rank and everything, you're able to get to buy better gear and stuff like that.
If they had sent him with that group from the start, I bet you they'd all still be alive.
Good God, you're right. And they wouldn't have killed your waifu.
Pretty much.
Right in the dome.
That one's on fire. Whoa!
It's like, I'm on fire! Holy fuck!
Wilhelm scream as he falls off.
The Wilhelm scream as he falls.
That's what I was trying to do, but I can't do that scream.
Oof. That's good. Get fucked. Damn.
Bueno.
So, in this we got a little bit of character building. We did find out that that boy was in fact him.
Yep, looks like it.
And he witnessed probably one of the worst things someone could witness as a kid. You know, the murdering of your family and the terrible violation of your sister and murder of her right in front of you, and you were powerless to stop it because of you being so small and not being able to do anything. And I guess his friend, she was out of town when it happened, so I think maybe that's why she was spared of it and everything.
Yeah.
So
seems to be the case.
Damn, that's some hardcore shit. And
I mean, it's kind of it's a pretty vanilla reason for why he's doing what he's doing, but I don't know.
Well,
I guess it depends on where they go with it as to like how much I think I'll end up liking this. Like, because, all right, we've seen him fuck up 2 hordes of goblins now.
Yeah, one.
How long can you keep fucking up hordes of goblins interesting? Especially when he's so careful and precise about it and stuff like that, you know?
Well, because the more he goes out into the world, I think the more he's going to discover things that not even he's aware of. Even though he's an expert on goblins, he's going to start seeing things that maybe he won't be prepared for.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking anyway. I'm thinking that he's going to venture out more, and maybe him and the priestess are going to encounter what they think is a little hobble hole full of goblins. They go down there, and it's a massive hive network of goblins that they have to fight.
Could be. And
that's one thing that I can think of. Another thing I can think of is maybe, I know he's a strict Goblin Slayer. It's his namesake, for God's sakes. But I'm thinking maybe he'll eventually get into slaying other types of monsters. Maybe nothing of the level of a dragon or something like that, but maybe maybe like a troll, like if a troll is threatening a village or something like that. Because the only reason he slays goblins is because of what goblins did to his family, and he knows that on a micro scale versus a macro scale, goblins are much more of a threat. Because on a micro scale, in terms of like small unprotected towns with no way of defending, they're at risk of that more than a city is of being able to fend off a dragon with its high walls and archer defenses.
Here's the interesting thing too: is a lot of people would probably like we were talking about this last time. It's like it's really fucking dark to bring in a subject such as like the goblins actually like violating women,
Yeah.
But story-wise, that is actually almost one of the only ways you can justify this story so far, because you can take a dragon and have a dragon burn down a town. Everyone burns alive and dies horribly, right?
Yeah.
But the reason he doesn't go after dragons is because goblins come to a town, burn it down, everyone dies horribly, but they also violate all the women.
It becomes a more personal thing.
So it's like the goblins essentially to him are the most heinous because they're monsters that do that kind of shit to people.
And rightfully so, because that's one of the most heinous things that can be done to a human being. And I see that we're building the characters and we're building the world. We were introduced to the Goblin Slayer, we were introduced to the way the goblins are and the hovels and everything. We were introduced to the priestess and everything. And in this, we were introduced to a more human friend who showed off a very tasteful amount of side boob. And I swear to God, and she was dragging and she seems to be pretty strong and pretty capable by herself, because she was dragging that wagon all by herself, and it was full. Yeah. I mean, I wonder if all the muscle was like in her tits, because she's a pretty skinny woman. But
it's like that was the thing. Is like I can justify. I now have a reason to justify there being like something that dark in the series, but I don't have a reason to justify the fan service yet.
Well, that's one thing that
the only reason that I have for it is fan service.
Fan service is one thing. I mean, it's something that pops up and springs up every now and again, and while I think too much fan service can not only be distracting, it can be sort of a killer for the series altogether. One big one was High School of the Dead, which by its more effectively known one, Fan Service the Anime.
But the thing about High School of the Dead is it went over the top with it to the point that they managed to make it comedic.
Well, no, I know, but to me
it was actually pretty funny.
But to me, it stopped being fun. It stopped being funny the very moment we had bullet time boobs.
That was fucking hilarious.
I know it was fucking hilarious, but how are you going to top that? That was halfway through the series.
Well, yeah, I guess. But
and I'm like, okay, what else is going on? Okay, they're defending a mansion. Okay, this dude's talking about cutting off zombies' heads. Okay, they're making purple-haired girl, sort of like a love interest for the main protag again. How original. Yeah. And what's this? More fans? Okay, but are you gonna be able to top what happened in the? No. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But
they pulled their best card with it too early.
Yeah, because if they're going to do if they go more serious with the storytelling, which if they were ever to do a season 2 of it, it's sad that the manga is never going to be completed because the original writer died.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was pretty sad, but one thing that a lot of people have been wondering is when they're going to do the second season, because the first season was such a huge success because of its over-the-top nature and all that they were wondering, hey, second season, when are you coming out? Because the second season's a lot more serious and a lot more heartfelt, because they sort of go Dawn of the Dead with it. They do like a micro mall setting, and it shows how humanity continues to break down, even amongst the people whom we would consider civilized. Because we had Shido in the first, the creepy teacher, with the glasses, like the shady dude who was trying to be like all evangelical with his follower, with the other students, and now we're instead of that, we're dealing with people who you would assume to be normal are instead like hiding something very, very heinous. Yeah. And from what I read about what they were going to do with the second season, it would have been interesting to see, but they canceled the second season because of the delay of the manga, because of the lead writer taking time off for his illness. And unfortunately, the illness killed him, so we're probably never going to see a resolution on High School of the Dead. Oh well. Sad, but that's just how things are. And Goblin Slayer, from what I understand, there is a defined ending for it. I've looked up a little bit of information about how many chapters there are in the manga, and from what I'm seeing, they've sort of, I think they've sort of stopped for now. They've stopped in terms of the story. I think they've stopped for now because I think they realize, hey, we're going to leave this, take a little bit of break on this, and come back to it a little bit later, because that's how some mangas do. They go for like an extent. Not all mangas are like One Piece. They don't just keep going and going and going and going and going.
One Piece is the Energizer Bunny of manga and anime.
Well, it's because Oda is a friggin' madman. The amount of times Oda has thought to himself, maybe I should wrap it up. Nah, let's keep going.
It's like even Naruto is like, yeah, we should probably at least split this into another new series at this point. Yeah, probably.
Well, it's because Naruto doesn't have the timeless look of One Piece. One Piece, the thing about it is they did the time skip and they switched up enough to where it remained fresh and interesting, and the characters grew up. The characters grew into a little bit different characters, and Luffy got better.
See, they kind of did that with Naruto, but they just named it
Shippuden.
They broke it off into a separate series when they did that.
Well, yeah, so. but Oda didn't want to do that. Instead, he wanted it to remain as a single because he's wanting to go for the title of the longest running anime ever, in which I think Detective Conan currently is still the longest running, or maybe is Crayon Shin-chan still the longest? I don't know, but he's wanting it to go more than 1,000 episodes, which he's going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, the manga, how they've done the manga so far, I think they're up to, I believe, episode like 1,100, if they keep the anime going at the pace it's going, which is crazy when I think about it.
Which that's good and fine for him and all, but I just hope he knows that doing something like that completely turns off people like me from ever wanting to get into it.
Well, that's why
like, I don't have the time to give you on something that long, and if you don't cut it off at a certain point where I'm like, okay, now I can go check it out now, then I'm probably never going to give it a chance.
Well, that's why he's done the abridgment films. The abridgment films are like hour long or an hour and a half long films that encompass like the major story arcs. And they've actually been pretty good. Like they did the Nami one where it talked about Arlong, the Arlong pirate arc. They also did one for when they got the Thousand Sunny, the second ship. They also did one for what's it called? They did the Frankie House one. They did they've done a few of them like that, and I would like, and if for anyone out there interested in catching up on One Piece, you can watch those abridged films, and they tell the story really well. But I went back and watched them again as like refreshers, just like, oh yeah, I remember when that part took 10 episodes. Damn, I'm glad they condensed it. Because there was one part of it where Luffy's body gets stuck underwater and his head's still above water, where he's rubber and everything. And eventually, like, his body comes back up, and it took like 2 episodes for his body to come back up. I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
You don't have to extend it that long. It's a lot like
some Dragon Ball Z shit.
Kind of, except Dragon Ball Z.
I give this pathetic planet 2 more minutes until it explodes. 10 episodes later. I give this pathetic planet 30 seconds until it explodes.
3 episodes later. It'll explode in 5. 1 episode later. 4. 1 episode later. 3.
Exactly.
1 episode later. 3.
Perhaps I slightly underestimated the amount of time it would take for the planet to explode, but I guarantee it will be gone in 3 minutes. 10 episodes later.
I remember when that friggin' that they did that in the abridged series. Like Frieza throws the planet destroying energy attack down, and then at the planet he's like, "Say goodbye to the planet," and he does that, and then Goku's like, "Did you miss?" And then Frieza's just like, "I swear to God, I hit the core." Well, God, I guess we're gonna wait 5 minutes until it explodes, and then later on it's just like, I give this planet a minute, 2 tops, and then Goku's like, Do you not know how to tell time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and
so see, that was the thing too. Is like at the very beginning of the series, it's like he straight up blows that planet the fuck up in like 1 millisecond. Like he's just like gone. Yeah, and I'm just like, why didn't he just do that to that one if he was so like hell bent on just blowing them all up?
Well, that's one thing Toriyama really. I think maybe the size of the planet had something to do with it, because I think the bug planet that he destroyed was a lot smaller than Earth. I think it was like the size of our moon. In terms of size comparison.
Well, there was like he blew up like the Saiyan planet as well, like right.
Oh, Frieza! You're talking about Frieza. I thought you were talking about Vegeta.
No, Frieza. Right at the very beginning of the series, like it shows him and he blows up. Right at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, yeah, he blows up Planet Vegeta.
Well, actually, that's during the Frieza arc. Yeah, it shows that him destroying Planet Vegeta. But
it might be that they re-edited it. I think in Kai, that's what they did. Because when you watch DBZ Kai, that's the very first scene you see.
Is Frieza
blowing
destroying
up that planet.
Okay.
And then them sending Goku away from it, I think.
Yeah, kind of like the Superman story arc.
Yeah, basically.
And, I get that. Well, for me, I watched the original series way back when, and that actually wasn't revealed until
like the Frieza arc.
Yeah, because early on it was.
Because I didn't remember that either. I was thinking that it didn't show that. And it must be because it was Kai. Because me and Andrew actually watched the first couple episodes of Kai recently, and I was like, "Oh, I don't remember doing that." Well, fair enough.
Well,
thought you didn't see Frieza until after the first arc.
Yeah, for me, the one part of it that really got me was when you saw Frieza for the first time, and it was just like, "Huh, little horny bastard." And then, and then all of a sudden, how it was originally said is that King Kai told of the fate of Planet Namek. What happened was there were the Saiyans and the Tuffles. The Saiyans were physically more superior and all that, but the Tuffles were like very technologically advanced. Like they were like super advanced and had very advanced weaponry that could fight against the Saiyans. But then what turned the tide was, for the first time in around 100 years, there was a full moon. And then all the Saiyans turned into the Ozarus and thus destroyed everything.
Yeah, they got wrecked.
Yeah, they destroyed everything. And then Frieza came along and took over. Because according to King Kai, how Namek was, or how Planet Vegeta was destroyed, was that a guardian summoned a meteor shower from the sky and thus destroyed the planet. Whereas we find out what happened. We find out it was Frieza who did it.
Yeah.
And it was just... And then we actually got to feel like some sympathy for Vegeta because, we saw that Vegeta was a bad person, but in his heart, he was just always trying to live out his, what his father always talked about as the pride of a Saiyan warrior.
Yeah.
And, Frieza took him. Frieza took him away from his father and killed his father when he was just a boy, just like 8 or 9 years old. And thus was raised to be Frieza's, pretty much Frieza's lapdog.
Yeah. And
it made you kind of feel for Vegeta because even though his pride is often what gets him into trouble and what makes him such an asshole, he's not a bad person at his core. He actually is just very prideful and will sacrifice anything to keep his pride.
Yeah.
And he later learns that his pride is not the most important thing. and it shows good character growth, and I like that. I like that they did character growth like that, and I'm hoping we get that with this series. Loop that back in. Tie it back in.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've turned this into a very long video, and we still have another anime episode to watch.
Yeah, not this one though. We're doing Evangelion, so that's gonna be fun. So if you all have enjoyed what you've seen here with Goblin Slayer episode 2, and you want to see us do more of this, feel free to comment down below. Also, don't forget to check out our. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to watch the full version of this, feel free to check out our Patreon. You'll see a link down there. It should be the first thing you see in our description. And, until next time, we will see you later. Peace out.